Oh, nice. Okay. Dave will be back momentarily, but there he is. Don, how
What's
you
going
doing,
on,
man?
guys? I'm doing well. Doing well.
You're
By the way,
doing well.
that's
I
an
don't hear
interesting
him
product.
out here.
I'm
We'll
glad
have
they
to-
got
is
it
the volume
out
up?
there that it's biodegradable.
Yeah, he's just got to turn the volume up there. I see you got a great background to be sequestered in.
Yes, exactly. It's totally legit. It's it's the view out my window. It's not a TV screen.
Yeah. How you holding up through the quarantine?
Listen, it's I'm bored. I want to get back in the action. I want to get out there. We're not just politically. I mean, we actually run real businesses and do that. I want to put those people back to work. I want to get the economic engine, fired up again. And we gotta start it up again.
I hear you. You know what I really do miss? I miss Dave Landau, my co-host. Here's
How
Dave.
are you?
This, of course, is Don Jr.
Hello, sir.
Don, the thing I miss are, I got to tell you, your dad's rallies. I miss those. I would tune in to everyone. Beforehand, you'd see a party atmosphere, a bunch of people having a great time, and then, the music hits, president comes out. It's hilarious. It's inspiring, funny, and it just made you feel proud as an American. And I kind of miss those. I miss those.
Oh, I do too. And I mean, listen, I had the great sort of honor of being able to, introduce both him and the VP at all these events. And, you give me an open mic for 20 minutes and say, go speak. You never know what's going to come, but I sort of have a great time with it. And to be able to be there, and again, I do the digital events all day long. We're doing it. We are out there. We are, actively working hard, raising money, campaigning, helping out those that are helping us, and, doing all of that. But I do miss some of that interpersonal connection, that, the back and forth. I mean, you guys know what it's like. You have the mic and people are feeding off of it, and the energy is incredible. I mean, it's a really dynamic thing, and I definitely miss it.
You know what amazes me, and the second you start mentioning things like this, people say conspiracy theory and stuff, and I have no proof of anything, but I can't say how coincidental it was that the juggernaut that was your father's economy, the unemployment numbers, everything that the Democrats knew there was no way in hell of beating or competing with in any way coming on an election, all of a sudden something happens where all that goes down the tubes and we have to fight back to get it back. It's just too convenient. Don't you have to sit there at some point and at least question some of the motives?
Well, listen, it certainly is. And if I said it, then, the Chiron and CNN would be like, they're literally typing it up in live stream. But, there definitely seems to be something to it. I mean, the timing couldn't be more coincidental, but it's not so much about even how it happened, because we don't even have to get there. It's the response now.
Right.
I mean, we live in the tri-state area. You're in New York. I get it. You shut down New York City. Okay, it was sort of, part of the American epicenter to that. But, like, how come everything upstate, 3 hours away with small populations and rural communities, why are they shut down? Why are they held to the same standard? Why did it take so long to open those guys back up? So you see the Democrat power grab now. You don't see this in, like, Florida and Texas and all these states, and yet you look at the results of how they've handled this mess. Cuomo being by far the worst, because I mean, there's been liberal states that have done a decent job. I mean, hey, I got to call balls and strikes. I mean, California's done a much better job than New York with a lot more people and big cities, right?
Yep.
And yet, the media was like, well, I kind of like Andrew Cuomo's line of shit. Like, he's going to be tough. So maybe when Joe Biden, falls asleep, we can put him in there, and that's going to be the guy. But if you look at on paper, they made him a deity. They made him a god. He's doing so wonderful. I'm saying wonderful. I'm looking at the statistics versus Florida, which has a larger population, against California, against Washington, the states that got it early, both left and right states. I'm saying, doesn't look like he's done that good a job. I mean, I get that he goes on his brother's show on CNN every night and they can laugh and joke about it. But, there's no talk about, well, why did you put sick elderly people, back in nursing homes when you knew, and this was like literally the first science said, hey, this is going to disproportionately affect the elderly, like by a factor of 100 to 1. I mean, there's been very, very few cases, for young people or healthy people or people that don't have some sort of pre-existing condition. But, like, why would you put those people back in there? And that's New York, that's Pennsylvania, that's, Michigan, the same thing. I mean, the Pennsylvania director of health in that state literally pulled their parents out of the nursing home.
Yeah.
The day they were like, no, it's totally fine. It's great. I mean, what is going on here? But again, you see the Democrats grab that power, and then you see them being like, you know what? We're not going to give you your liberty back. We're not going to be so quick to give that back to you American citizens, and it's scary.
Well, I think it's because you look at Pelosi, for example, and they've gone from being the party of the middle class to the party of the mom from Arrested Development. Like, it's just purely selfish, and,
well, listen, guys,
and it
you
shows.
See her. You see the way she's talking. I mean, she gives that lecture, and she's laughing in front of her $25,000 freezer that's packed with,
Diamond Blood Swirl.
Gourmet ice cream, probably Diamond Blood Swirl. You're right. But, and guys, guess what? I get it. I'm the son of a billionaire. In 2020, I am not allowed to have an opinion. I'm certainly not allowed to voice that opinion. Especially as a conservative, the billionaires on the other side can say whatever they want. There's
and their
no penalty,
kids can
there's no
commit
consequence.
felonies.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But think about it. I'm Donald Trump's son, and I understand fully how asinine that is and how bad that looks. How does the leader of the Democrat Party how does she not even understand that? And I go back to midterms. There was a Democratic congresswoman from Illinois, one of the Midwestern states, and she was hosting wine and cheese parties for other Congress people that were running so that she could teach them how to talk, to the peons that are their constituency. I'm saying, wait a minute, these are your neighbors. You live amongst them. How can Donald Trump Jr., again, from New York City, go into the Midwest, be able to have a perfectly great conversation, talk with, I don't need to take a class how to talk to an American or how to get them to think that I'm like them and, let's fool them into voting for us. But this is the Democrat left.
There has been a
lack. The party of the elite. They are not about the working class. They could care less. They want the power. They've been very clear about that. If you look at the difference in the way they've handled this, they're not so apt to give it back. And man, that is scary to me.
Yeah, there's a complete lack of self-awareness when it comes to really hardcore left liberals. They just
because
don't.
No one calls them out, Ant. No
one calls them out. You're right. And the media is complicit in the whole thing.
See here, this is perfectly normal. Let's just continue.
The media lets it happen.
Our job to be the marketing department of Nancy Pelosi and the far left, rather than be reporters. They're not reporters, they're activists.
Well, this is something else that happened with a subject I want to talk to you about with Howard Stern. Now, Howard Stern knows that his audience, especially early on, was all working class guys that are probably unbelievable supporters of President Trump.
Yeah,
and then
you saw what happened this week. Now it's hey, I hope they drop dead. I'm like, what?
Yet he used an interview with your dad in his most recent book.
Well, by the way, when he was on the regular air and he was still really good and he was innovative and stuff like that. I mean, their last show, I remember they did a top 10 Stern show moments of all time. Donald Trump was in 3 of the top 10, and that's done by Howard Stern. So, hey, and I get it. You don't have to agree with politics, but Howard made his career, sort of defending the blue collar guys, talking trash about the Hollywood people, not wanting to. It turns out he just wanted to be one of them.
He wanted it
wasn't
so
that he was
bad.
against them. He was like, well, if they won't accept me, then I'll be against them. But the second now you made some money. Now you can be part of us. But as part of us, you got to rally against the guys that got you there. But look, it's not just me and my dad. Again, I'm used to people talking shit about me, my father, my family. But you start attacking those blue collar Americans that are just psyched to be living their American dream again, who are psyched that the economy was going gangbusters, who are psyched to have a leader that's actually going to fight for them, not just talk, but actually push back and fight. And then to shit on them, that's where I drew the line. Because again, a guy like me, I'm a business guy. I play a little bit in the political stuff because I've been vocal and I've been crapped on by the other side. And unlike most, I don't just run and hide. But imagine a guy like me years ago. Would you ever take on Stern?
No,
never. You wouldn't even think about it. You'd be like, that's not worth it. No one even cares. This is the most relevant Stern has been in years because he's in a Twitter fight with me. it's so stupid.
Yeah.
And, I guess I'm probably, feeding him a little bit of the attention that he hasn't had for so long. So he probably loves it. But like, honestly, I should just go radio silent. He can go back to obscurity and no one's watching or listening. Certainly not the base that he used to have.
Yeah.
It was funny. The head of the Howard Stern, Facebook super fans literally reached out to a friend of mine that knew me. It was like, hey, Don Jr.'s 100% right on this. Like, I don't hate Howard, but I don't know what's going on. This is insanity. His largest group of fans is wondering what the hell is going through his mind.
What happened?
He used to have Donald Trump on, and now he's like thrilled to have Hillary Clinton on.
Hillary. I grew up in New York, so I'm like you. I listened to Howard. I sat in my truck. You couldn't get away from it. When Gilbert Gottfried would be on, it was one of those shows. And now Gilbert's not even allowed.
Well,
they don't even mention Gilbert.
But it's not just Gilbert. Think of it. It sort of speaks to the bigger picture of loyalty, right?
Yep.
Gilbert was one of the best people on the show every time. And then, someone PC in Howard's world says, well, we can't have that. Okay, cut him off.
Yeah.
Just cut him off as though he had done nothing. He did the same to Artie Lange.
He's been relentlessly unforgiving.
I would say, you could probably say when Artie left, it was probably the beginning of the downfall of the show and the audience. And it became like a sort of a PC infomercial for whatever he was told to be into that week forever. But he did it to Artie. He did it to Jackie the Joke. So basically anyone who doesn't just give Howard how he wants, all of a sudden they're terrible, and he's a vindictive guy, and he's going to go after him, but there was no loyalty. And by the way, even as it relates to my own family, again, I'll make the distinction. You don't have to agree with my father on politics or policy or all of these things, but my brother and his wife, they did a lot for Howard and some of those pet charities that he had and all of that stuff. And it's we're going to pretend that never happened. We're just going to shit all over Trump because this is how I'm going to get attention. This is how Hollywood Howard is going to be loved by those who probably don't really love him, but he's worth a couple bucks, so they'll let him in a little bit into the circle. And
that's what it is.
Pretend that didn't happen. That's what pisses me off again, the disloyalty,
It's disloyalty, and it's just not being authentic. Either he's authentic now and wasn't then, or vice versa.
Yeah,
when you see him with the hens from The View and he's dancing with Ellen, do you think 1990 Howard Stern would look at the picture of him dancing with Ellen?
Well, they wouldn't let him on. He'd be in blackface.
1990 Howard Stern would kick 2020 Howard Stern's ass.
Yeah.
That's the reality, right? It's not even this. And I get it. Hey, people can evolve and stuff like that.
Of course, yeah.
I understand that. I don't even, question that.
Of course.
But to evolve, and then again, shit on those who got you there. Just I don't care if they dropped dead. I hate you for voting for Trump. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
No, you don't. So you're either looking for attention or looking, again, to become relevant. So, this is probably the last I talk about it because, again, I don't know why to feed the beast. No one's watching anymore. The people that built him and were real fans, they've all left a long time ago. But
Joe Rogan just signed a huge deal. Joe Rogan just signed a huge deal. Joe Rogan is more relevant than Howard is at this point.
Joe Rogan, the guys at Barstool,
right?
Dave Portnoy. Those are the new kings of media.
Exactly.
They have a real, engaged, viral following that Howard had 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if it's let me try to lash out more because he's jealous of them or whatever it is. It wouldn't surprise me, again, based on the behavior that we've all witnessed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. And again, if a guy like me is willing to sort of be like, you know what, screw it. What's he going to say about me that he hasn't? He's going to say, oh, I'm a hunter. Yeah. He'll do that. That he'll say that I don't know anything because I'm my father's son. Fine. Great. What's your point?
Yeah.
It doesn't negate any. You haven't answered any of the questions about you, Howard, and you haven't talked about why you abandoned those that were so good to you and so loyal to you for so long. And I'm not just talking about my father. I'm talking about those other guys.
Yep.
Well, you can look at the disloyalty.
He won't even be seen with anymore.
Look at the old Howard Stern cast and the comics that went on the show. He didn't do a lot for the people. Look at Joe Rogan's stable of comics. They all have specials. They've all exploded. He obviously cares about the people that come onto his show, where I don't even know, isn't most of the Whack Pack just buried in an island somewhere?
Yeah, they're on Hard Island.
It's not, it's not acceptable anymore. And I get, by the way, and again, I get that you may not be able to do, the quote, well, I don't even want to say the words because they'll say that I'm then promoting.
Exactly.
But, I get that some of the skits may have to evolve, but then to take those people because, well, that's all they brought was the skit, so now we can discard you with the trash. That's bullshit.
Yeah. I got to ask you a few things about the upcoming election, and of course the great candidate who the polls are saying is just beating your dad in every state, Joe Biden.
Sharp guy.
I'm like, I watch everything Joe Biden says, and you can't understand much of it. He's bumbling, stumbling, and then these people with they actually say he's a viable candidate. He can win. We're supporting him. He's ahead in the polls. This is nonsense.
He's Lloyd Bridges in Airplane.
I gotta stop laughing. But no, he's much worse. I mean, at least Lloyd knew where he was most of the time.
And he stopped sniffing glue.
And if Donald Trump forgot where he was, let's call it like it is, in Joe Biden's 50% of the time, if Donald Trump did that once, they'd be saying it's the time to enact the 25th Amendment.
Right.
Get him out. He's in the later stages of dementia and Alzheimer's combined. Get him out. Joe Biden doesn't remember where he is on the average day. He forgets the office he's running for. He forgets who his wife and his sister are. I mean, these are not little things. Every television psychologist that likes to get on there and wax poetic about, Donald Trump and how he's lost his mind, they're looking at Joe. Oh, wonderful.
Not a peep.
The reality is we also know that Joe Biden would never even be the Democratic nominee if they weren't running against Donald Trump. They're like, well, we can make him blue-collar Joe. Like, he's not blue-collar Joe. He's been a Washington, D.C. elected official for 50 years.
Yeah.
He's the guy running against big government. Like, guess what, moron? Like, you kind of created that.
You were big government.
Maybe some of this is on you after 50 years. And you see the treatment. The media, he's great, he's this. You see the stuff as they did to Kavanaugh, right? Kavanaugh, we'll destroy him, we'll ruin him, we'll do this. There's no corroboration, there's no nothing. His high school yearbook is 100% fair game. Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice, right? Joe Biden, his Senate records, where he's literally being paid by the American people to represent them. You can't touch that. You can't look at that. There's corroborating evidence about this claim, from the 90s where, this woman's mother is calling into the, Larry King. There's court deposition papers filed. And it's like the media is believe all women except for those that may challenge the Democrat Party agenda and narrative. We believe all of them except those people. Those people, they're full of shit.
Do they not see it, Don, or are they just consciously lying to everybody? Like, because I read some things and see some interviews of people, and it seems like they believe it.
Lying.
They see him smelling children.
No,
There's no way they can deny it.
I put up a meme this week that got, Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, the New York Times, their panties all in a bunch. And I'm joking, and they're like, it's ridiculous you would say that. I'm like, it's a meme. Like, there's the emojis, and there was a talking alligator. Like, it's not real. But by the way, since you want to go there about Joe's creepiness, here's a 4.5-minute video clip. Go look at my Twitter or my Instagram.
I've seen that.
Of him sniffing children. Like,
it's
you
not
would
normal.
think, guys, a basic test for being president of the United States is, would you leave your 5-year-old daughter with this guy for more than 5 minutes? Because I wouldn't. And listen, I get it's a comedy show, but like, dude, this stuff is and they're like, well, Don Jr. is misrepresenting it because it happened at a Senate confirmation hearing. I go, I never said it didn't.
Yeah.
But more importantly, like, if he's going to behave like that there, like, what's he doing when the cameras aren't rolling?
That's the scary part.
This is some creepy shit. If a guy touched my daughter and sniffed my daughter, in the ways that this guy is doing, like, there's not an alpha male that I know in America, and there's fewer of them left than I'd like. But, like, I don't think we know collectively a guy that wouldn't be like, step the hell off.
Yeah, what are you doing?
You're not going to go, hey, like, there's a time and a place.
It's
never
even heard
acceptable.
It from some Democrats that are like, they're almost like, it's what we got. But again, it's all about optics because they know the media will spend $1 billion in free earned media protecting Joe from his own stupidity and then trying to hurt Trump for things that Trump didn't even do. And, it's no different than what we saw with Russia, with Flynn, with the unmasking. All of this stuff would, and the problem is, as Republicans, we even have the issue in that most, even on the Republican side, at least in the Senate, most aren't willing to fight the way Trump fights, the way that I fight. It's probably why I'm engaged in all these moronic battles. But like, I'm just not going to let people shit on me, my friends, my family, and our supporters.
Well,
so
then,
I'll get in the mix. But you get guys that go on TV and they talk about what a disgrace and an injustice this is. It's like, okay, well, you're like on the Senate committee. Like, why don't you do something? It's like, wait, I got to do something? But like, the guy at Politico that hates my guts, he may write a bad article about it. Like, they're going to write it anyway. Like, they're not your friend. They're not going to do you any favors. They're going to try to destroy you. Like, we got to fight the same game. Like, hey, guys, if everyone wants to play political t-ball, I'd love that. It would be wonderful. But as long as the other side's playing hardball, we better damn well be playing the same game.
Play hardball. You know what? You know what's very interesting? Another coincidental thing with this COVID-19 and quarantine. Joe Biden gets to be sequestered in his basement with these clips that are coming. Now, you got to remember, these are the best possible clips they could get of him to put out there. And they're a disaster. Why doesn't he go out on his front stoop and hold the press conference?
Think about a political campaign in history. And it's not just, the stuff he's doing, failing to do, but doing from video from his basement. I mean, look at the debates. I mean, every time he'd start answering a question, he'd be like, I don't know where I'm going with this. He'd be like, well, I don't want to take up any more time. I'm like, no, you got time. Keep going, because I want to know where the hell you're going.
Yeah, where's it going?
When he gives a press conference, and think about it, you're in your basement of your house. Like, I can do this stuff all day long. I do it. I'm in the basement of my house right now, right?
Me too.
We can do that.
We're not running for
TV,
president.
And guess what? Well, that's minor details.
Yeah.
But if listen, if you have a 53-point COVID-19 response and you forget to mention point number 47, okay, you know what? I'll give you that. Like, I'll cut you some slack. I'll call balls and strikes. Joe Biden gave a 2-point press conference and he forgot both of the points. Both. Like, there was 2 points. There was nothing else. All you had to do for 2 weeks, Joe, was get this right. And he's like,
He doesn't
you
know.
see him on TV. I mean, it's miraculous. So they're trying to do a live stream. He's not capable of doing it. You saw that before they shut down everything.
Yes.
I mean, you'd see him. He'd speak to, listen, hey, you see Donald Trump. He'll go get in front of a stadium of 25,000 people. He can do it unscripted for an hour. Everyone's having it. Joe Biden would speak to like 15 people, and they have him on a teleprompter. I'm like, guys, like, I'm doing this.
And he's still tripping.
Even, where are your notes, Don? I'm like, what notes? What do you mean? Well, you have 25 minutes. I was like, do this when I got 5 minutes left and I'll wind it down. They're like, well, what are you going to, I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to cut out there and do it. Like, this is not rocket science. And if you've done it for 50 years, you'd think you'd be a little better at it by now.
Because there's a physical and mental problem there that no one wants to friggin' talk about. Yeah. This guy has a problem. And I've had members in my family, my mom, she passed away from dementia, and I've seen it. I know what it looks like, especially during the early process. And it's exactly that. You get frustrated when you can't remember something. You do that thing. Here's what he does too that I've seen so many times. He'll try to get a line and be like, but it was all right. Here's what I'm saying. He needs to do something to try to refocus himself, and it has nothing to do with what the point was that he was trying to make. And I've seen it before. The guy has some form of dementia, and no one wants to talk about it.
Well, and that's what's scary. Like, I mean, if this guy became president of the United States, like, I don't think anyone really believes he's capable of doing that job. So who are people voting for when they're voting for Joe Biden? Like, some crazy left-wing thought leader of the party that's,
Kamala Harris,
asinine stuff these days. Who's going to be the person? Because those people are pushing around Nancy Pelosi. I mean, no one really believes Joe Biden's the guy going to be in charge, do they? I mean, like,
no.
Well, what I think is odd is,
and I'm not just saying that as like a, I mean, seriously, just go to the videotape. And by the way, you know what I did when people were like, "You're being very critical. He's always been this way." I was like, "No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't."
Go back and watch 10 minutes, 3 minutes, 100 minutes of Joe Biden from like the 90s in the Senate. It is not the same dude.
Hey, let me tell you something, Don.
Stop pretending there's not a massive decline, but they won't do it.
When he was, we can't do that. Because you bring that up. You know when he was extremely concise? When he was talking about how he held back $1 billion when he wanted a prosecutor fired in the Ukraine. That clip, he's completely coherent. I understood the quid pro quo exactly when he was talking about it.
He's even crossing his legs with confidence when he says it.
Yes.
He was pretty concise when he made some of the biggest racial blunders in political history, voting for those. I mean, he was very concise in that. He was pretty concise with Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
He was pretty concise on all of those things. But again, you compare that guy to this guy. And if you
Not
literally
even
didn't see the picture and say, okay, well, it's the same guy with hair plugs, like, no, if you could listen to them and you heard them, you'd say it's two different people.
Yes.
You'd say there's no way that that's the same guy. And again, this guy is the best the Democrats could come up with.
Hey,
like,
he's
to
winning
fight
in the
against
polls,
Trump.
Don. He's ahead on all the
Hillary
polls.
was winning in the polls, too. Look
they
how
actually
that
got
worked.
Hillary, yeah.
They actually got rid of the guy who was the best for them twice now, I think.
Oh, who, Bernie?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's the only one who.
Well, but you saw that it was rigged against Bernie.
Of
yeah, of
course.
course. That's what and nobody wants to admit that.
And that's the problem. But that's the problem with Bernie. It's great because at least I feel like he's genuine. He's consistent. I
Right.
don't agree with anything he says, but he's
Nothing.
consistent. But man, he got steamrolled by Hillary. He goes and does the Hillary tour. Then she just destroys him as recently as like a couple months ago, basically taking him out of there's just
He's lucky to
these
be
guys
alive.
will do anything. It's not about what they believe in. It's about what they can sell to the American people to win
Right.
elections, to amass power, to get that power, and then never give it back to the people. Because again, that's all they got. If they don't have power, they don't really offer much to Americans who believe in freedom and liberty and all these things that we actually still believe in.
I was
like-
just watching your dad in Michigan, and I heard him talking about the mail-in ballots. And it's like, this is a prime way to corrupt the vote. This is a way, and he says exactly what will happen. These stacks of ballots go out. They're placed in neighborhoods and districts that are strictly Democrat. You don't know who's filling them out. There's no need for identification. They come back and they're counted as valid American votes.
Well, and it's strange. There's never been a single Republican vote amongst them, and you actually saw that today. In Philadelphia, a elections judge was literally just sentenced for playing games with these ballot boxes. Like, we're just making it easier for them so that, that's why, you heard Clyburn say, well, we'll never let a good crisis go to waste. Let's make sure we get mail-in ballot so that Republicans can never possibly win again. Like,
of course.
It's not about, not letting people vote or suppressing a vote. It's how badly they can cheat and get away with it. And again, the media is very clear. Not only do they just not cover the subject, they're very clear about actually saying, no, this never happens. Of course it happens. Like, I have friends in Chicago that are liberals. They're like, listen, man, I've seen people getting rolled in here who are on life support and not capable of making a decision, and they're casting a vote. And it's never been for a Republican.
It's been debunked,
there are districts in the
Don.
country where not a single Republican vote was
fraud.
cast. No way.
Voter fraud's been debunked. Where have you been?
It's been
the
debunked. We're
thing is
conspiracy theorists.
I love that. They'll say it's been debunked. There's nothing on how it was debunked. Just the fact that they say it gets all the puppets and trolls and bots to go, oh, that's been debunked. Yeah, show me. Show me how it's been debunked, because I could show you a lot of bunk.
They call the DNC. This is a reporter. They call the DNC. They say, what are the talking points for the day?
Yes.
It's been debunked. Okay, I'm just going to run with that like a blind monkey. Like, we're just going to carry their water for them. So,
but don't they already have a voting
sad what's
system for
happened.
people that can't make the day?
Yeah, they
So
already
why
have
would it
that.
change it unless you were trying to ruin
No,
some
they have
shit?
absentee ballots and stuff like that for
Yeah,
people
that's
who
what
are
I mean.
actually absentee.
Right.
But this notion of, hey, we're going to do that. We're going to allow ballot harvesting so someone can go to your door. And I've heard the stories of the payoffs at the door and the this. It's like, yeah, just give me your ballot. I'll fill it out for you. No worries.
Yeah, I got it.
Or if it's filled out, it's not the way we want. Maybe it just never ends up getting counted. And you've seen that. No thing that's ever gone into a runoff where they're waiting to get the rest of the results. If it ever goes to they're waiting, magically buckets full of Democrat envelopes show up with it. It's ridiculous. And everyone's just, let's pretend it never happened. A Republican, I don't know if a Republican's won a single one of those.
Never.
Where you've given them enough time to basically fill out a couple more ballots and cheat their way into it. And again, between the censorship on social media, between the obvious bias in the media itself,
which is worse
when
than
you
ever.
see the Hollywood and the pop culture and the nonsense, the very much, do as I say, not as I actually do, live as I tell you to, not how I live myself. There's a lot of scary forces working on these elections, trying to influence it, trying to change that vote, trying to get people to, see something that doesn't exist or not see plenty that does.
They know it's so difficult to try to run against your dad, especially before this stuff. You're looking at a president that pulled this country out of economic turmoil, made it a safer place. We had a pride again in America, like when Reagan got elected after the Carter debacle. And The only thing that changed is this virus, and I really do have confidence that the numbers are still there, the fundamentals and the structure is still there to rebuild to what we had pre-virus.
I don't think it just turns right back on right away. But again, there's going to be businesses that will have been taken out by this thing.
Terrible.
States are forcing people to stay home. They're refusing to allow them to open their businesses. I mean, we do have to do something to get that going again without question. But again, Donald Trump did what they said he would not be able to do.
Yep.
Okay. He built, there was literally not a single economic metric where we were not better off significantly than under Obama. Lowest unemployment, highest stock market, highest 401ks, literally everything. Bringing importing back. By the way, if COVID's taught us one thing, is that we do have to control our supply chains. We do have to control our border. We can't let the Chinese government, as they did, say, hey, the antibiotics that your companies make, but we manufacture over here, we're just going to hold them away from you until you go blindly with our talking points. I mean, let's not forget about that.
I mean, to manufacture
Donald Trump's
back here.
MAGA agenda was more right now than it was in 2016, and I believed in it big time, back then. So, we need the guy that can do it again. And don't forget, Donald Trump did all of that. Regained our respect by following through on promises, whether it's moving the Israeli embassy, all of these things that, everyone promised to do, but no one had the balls to actually do.
Yeah.
Donald Trump did, but he did all of those things and achieved all of those accomplishments under investigation while they're trying to put his kid, me especially, in jail, while they're trying to impeach him. I mean, despite literally the most unprecedented onslaught of attacks from the other side, a total total forgetting about the, peaceful transfer of power that was a 200-year staple in this country. Let's just ignore all of that.
Spying on
Donald
the
Trump
campaign.
literally still did all of the things that they said he couldn't do. Imagine what this guy could do if the Democrats actually worked with him. Hey, how about let's get infrastructure done? We got to put Americans back to work. Who's the guy going to do that? Joe China, owned by that. What do you think the media would have a problem if I took $1.5 billion from the Chinese government like Joe Biden's son did?
That whole comparison is insane. $30 million a year in fees. $30 million a year to the Biden family in fees in a typical 2 and 20 fund structure. Do you think that if Donald Trump Jr. was getting that from the Chinese government, you think they'd talk about it? You think that if I knocked up a stripper and spent 3 years trying to hide from paying child support, you think they'd try to find that woman and maybe interview her? There's nothing to see here, folks. Oh, they'd be
give
fair.
Me a break. So Joe Biden opened the door, this weekend when he's like, oh, he is his father's son. Damn straight, Joe. I am my father's son, and Hunter Biden is most certainly yours. And as any reasonable person was sitting, I'd rather be on our side of the table than on yours on that one. Again, I offered to debate Hunter Biden on TV on Axios, not exactly a conservative station, right? I mean, I said, hey, I'll do it. I'll go full disclosure, full tax returns, full whatever you want, and we talk about it, because the left likes to say the Trumps are making so much money from government. I'm saying where?
Where?
If it's not, already figured out, New York City developers probably aren't doing so awesome by being pretty damn strong conservatives, right? It's not the best business model in the world, or pissing off half the country in the polarized system that we are. But guess what? There comes a time where you have to man up, where you have to stand up for what you believe in, and that matters more than money or anything. So we did it. So I said, why don't you guys put your stuff on the table? Why don't we talk about that? I'll debate Hunter right now on a leftist, or certainly at least left-leaning station. Whatever you guys want, I'll go full. Nothing to see here. No one even talked. The media wouldn't even talk about it because they're like, man, we wouldn't want voters to actually be like, yeah, maybe we should see that. But then they do the Hunter Biden, he's a Yale-educated lawyer. Donald Trump Jr. can barely read. I go, that's perfect. No, but they do this stuff, right? So I go,
I know,
you're
I
right.
see it.
You're right. He's so much smarter than me. You should want him to have this debate, because I'm so stupid. He's so smart. He would destroy me in this debate, right? He would annihilate me. He could probably put a nail in the coffin of the Trumps, not just the cardboard coffin like you were talking about earlier, but like an actual one. Like, let's do this. All I hear is crickets, boys. All I hear is crickets. They're like, well, Hunter Biden, he wants to be left alone. He wants to be out of the public eye. I'm like, wait, that didn't stop him from traveling to China with his dad on Air Force Two and coming back with $1.5 billion from the Chinese government. Like, yeah, hey, if I was making the $30 million a year in fees and whatever the upside is as well, like, yeah, I'd want to be out of the public eye. And
I wouldn't want to be scrutinized.
Yeah, I'll take the deal.
Pick a pony.
Yeah,
Pick a pony.
It really is ludicrous.
But why do you think all the hatred right now? Like, I've never seen a level of this right now that I would say that you and your family get. And do you think it's because of a polarized society? You're a political outsider. I'm just curious because the amount of shit that you have to deflect has got to be the worst, honestly.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, honestly, I think what it is that you actually have someone who's from outside of the establishment. Like I said, you know, balls and strikes. Like, I think plenty of Republicans have been really weak on actually fighting back. You know, they see what's going on, but they don't want to be called a bad name. They want to get invited to the cool person liberal Christmas party, you know, whatever it may be. They haven't been willing to take that heat. I mean, we had the House and the Senate, but we had the House under Paul Ryan, who was, you know, probably the weakest, let's call it conservative. Like, you know, because you can say you're a conservative, you can wax poetic about it, but when you actually don't do anything with your platform, like, are you really? Are you really, Paul?
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't. So they're like, well, you wasted that time. I was like, well, we didn't waste things. Like, the president can't just say this is happening. That's not how our government works. You know, Congress has to act, has to go through the Senate, then the president signs it into law, right? There's a difference, and people sort of forget that part of the equation. They say, so imagine, again, imagine you had a fighter, a guy like Kevin McCarthy, who's legitimately fighting right now in the House. And if we got that back, like, you'd actually get more done because you have someone that believes in what the president is doing, not someone who's a never Trumper and just sort of holding their nose for, you know, 4 or 8 years till that passes and they can go back to taking care of their cronies in government. So I think the hatred is really because Donald Trump has shown conservatives you can fight back. Donald Trump has shown conservatives you don't have to roll over and die because the other side would love you to. You don't have to do it, guys.
Yeah.
You can push back. And when you have facts, logic, reason, you can get it done. And again, like Donald Trump, you can get it done despite all of the bullshit that they're going to throw at you.
All the
but again,
garbage.
Imagine they worked with him, what we could get done. Imagine what this country could be if they all said, you know what, fine, you know what, it's going to be 4 more years of Trump. Let's work together. Let's put Americans back to work. Let's get this economy roaring. Let's hold China accountable because, you know, Joe Biden ain't going to do that.
No.
You know,
yeah,
let's do these things that we need to do. Like in 5 years, wouldn't we all be in an awesome spot? And then you can do a peaceful transition of power. I mean, the great irony is, you know, the least peaceful transition of power was from the administration that said that if Trump loses or when Trump loses,
right, it's going to be a catastrophe.
They're going to be rioting. Well, guess what?
Rioting.
I mean, it's typical.
Yeah.
It's whatever we're doing, we're going to accuse others of doing to cover up for our own stuff. I mean, this is the Saul Alinsky playbook, you know, that the Clintons have been working off of for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple of good signs in a couple of these special elections where Republicans won, and hopefully that'll carry over into the election with the House. It would be awesome to have the House, the Senate, and, of course, the White House. I
agree.
Yeah, Dave? Yeah?
Oh, no, I was just saying that what if they did work together through different parties? I mean, you guys were kind of a political outsider, at least in my mind, that you weren't really a Republican or a liberal. I mean, I really didn't see it as that. I think that's why he was elected. That's what's odd about Biden is he's the typical stiff politician, regardless of if his brain's rotting away or not. He's a typical politician who is poised to be a politician.
There are men of words and men of action, and Joe Biden is definitely not a man of action. Okay, I mean,
and he's losing the words.
And he's losing the words big time, or as Donald Trump would say, bigly. But you know. But you know, that's the reality. You know, that's what you're up against. But they don't want to work with a guy like Trump who's an outsider because it would enable other outsiders to be like, you know what? I've done a lot. I want to give back to my country. I want to, like, Donald Trump didn't need this job. It wasn't his turn. Right. It wasn't like this is, you know, like, give me a break. He could have done whatever the hell he wanted for the rest of his life. And don't forget, like I wrote about it in my book, Triggered, when I wrote it, was the last thing that Trump said to me, my father said to me when we're going down, you know, the elevator before he did sort of the, you know, infamous escalator ride to make his announcement was, now we find out who our real friends are.
Ah,
He's
yeah.
Right.
Wow.
But what's telling about it, not just that he understands sort of culture and the way things work, but that he knew that these people would turn because it's easier to turn and sort of appease the leftist mob than to actually stand up for your beliefs. He knew, and he did it anyway, which tells you all you need to know about the guy.
Yeah, that's like you said, he could have just kept working and live out his life and with an amazing family and friends. Why would you put yourself in a situation where you are being crapped on every minute of every day? where the media's against you. People are trying to get you fired from your job before you even have the goddamn job. And that kind of dispenses of people's notion that he's making money on the side or he's doing this government thing because he's in cahoots with Russia. So wouldn't he have done that in his personal life? It's a lot easier to get away with all this stuff when you're not the president.
The first time I did, back in the O&A days when I'd go on your show, like, hey, we can be real. Like, there's no real upside of me going on an O&A, but I enjoyed it. I like, like as a business guy, like I'll take that risk. Like, but there's much less upside. But again, you said it. Like, we were actually international business people. It's what we did before we got in office. We said, hey, we're not going to do any new deals internationally going forward for fear of impropriety. Hunter Biden was nothing. No one had heard of him, other than he got a board seat on Amtrak because his dad was signing the paychecks for, through the Senate. He moved through the ranks at MBNA, which happens to be the largest bank in Delaware, where his dad was signing favorable banking legislation as their senator.
Unbelievable.
Like, he wasn't an international businessman, but then the second his father became VP, all of a sudden, I'm an international businessman. I mean, it's like, Eddie Murphy and the Distinguished Gentleman. I mean, you can't make this crap up. And,
more trading
everyone's
places.
like, that's not, we actually stopped doing what we had done and made our entire careers doing to prevent that kind of impropriety, or even the notion of that kind of impropriety. But Hunter Biden's like, time to get rich, boys and girls. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty sick. And
do
the
you think
media
with
is totally fine with it. And they still are running around saying how much money we're making off the presidency. I mean, it's literally mind-blowing.
Do you think that it's part of dehumanizing your family, though, by making them the billionaires? Because that's when you can bring in the separation and go racist, elitist, whatever it is.
I think they'll do whatever they can. I think that's the reality. They will do whatever they can to get their political way. You saw what, again, I'm used to it with us. You don't have to agree with us. You make it say, hey, maybe Trump's too harsh. But you know what? If your family's tried to be thrown in jail, they're attacking you on a daily basis. Maybe you'd push back a little harder than you'd like to in a regular, world, especially when you sort of come at it from our mentality, which is, probably already skewed on the aggressive side of things.
I'd be knee-deep in drugs.
You saw, look, it's not just us, though. Again, Brett Kavanaugh. But how about this? Not Brett Kavanaugh. How about the kids from Covington Catholic?
Oh, my God.
Right? 16-year-old kid. He stands there perfectly still. By the way, he exercised more restraint than you or I certainly, Anthony, would have, when someone gets in your face like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they tried to destroy him. Because you know why? He was a white Christian male from the South who's a Trump supporter. It was like the 5 points of ultimate left-wing ownership. Like, we got them now. So it wasn't about the truth. It was they wanted it to be true so badly because it could fill so many points in their narrative.
Right, with that. It's never the truth. It was like the crap
that I got when I went after Jussie Smollett. And I was like, I didn't say it didn't happen. I just said, hey, guys, like, I understand that, everyone's running with this and everyone's outraged. And if it happened, they should be. And you should throw the book at these guys. But, like, you really think like a group of white supremacists like watch Empire and know who this guy is? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just didn't watch.
Just his sandwich was intact.
Yeah, it's probably not their demo. Do you really think that a group of white supremacists would last more than 15 seconds wearing a MAGA hat in downtown Chicago?
Yeah.
I don't know. And by the way, do you think that these guys were so brilliant? Because I don't think the white supremacist crowd is all that smart. There's not that many of them, but they're not too bright. Do you think that they would have the incredible foresight to wait for Jussie Smollett at 2 a.m. on the coldest night of the year in Chicago because they knew he was going to go get Subway?
I would assume that they wouldn't even be fans of Empire.
Right, well, that's sort of what I said, which is like, it's not exactly their demo of the show. I don't think they know who this guy is. So I'm hearing this story. I'm like, and wow, they had the foresight to bring a 2-pound test twine as a noose and a bucket of bleach just carrying it. I'm like, has anyone bothered to be like, this just doesn't, like, the guy may be a halfway decent actor, but he's not a good writer because this is the
this story
damn
sucks.
thing I've ever heard. So I called that out. And again, I have something to lose. I'm a business guy, got a lot of following.
Right.
The media is looking for me to say anything so they can try to, cancel me. And I'm just saying, guys, like, I don't know, but it sounds like bullshit. It turns out it was, but it didn't stop, Instagram for taking down my post for hate speech, for asking questions.
Yes.
For, everyone, Donald Trump Jr. spreading conspiracy theories. Where are those people
You
now?
can't even
Like
question
the same people who wanted to, try to use that to destroy all Trump supporters.
Yep.
Man, they're awfully silent about justice for Jussie right now.
Yeah. All that goes away.
I'd love to see some justice. It's just not the way they intended it.
Yeah. It always goes that way with the media. I don't believe anything that comes out of mainstream media these days. Especially when you've been in it, like you've been in the news, and when you see how wrong they get things from your side, when you go, wow, if they got this wrong about me, what are they getting wrong about everything else? And now you're in a position where you really are looking at the top and going, they don't even get this right.
Well, that's my point. I mean, I've been in the room. You know what I mean?
Yes, you've seen it.
And I see what they're reporting, and I'm like, it's not even close.
No.
Like, they're just making up this shit half the time as they go along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't forget, like, during my Senate testimony and my House testimony, I mean, CNN on, like, 3 occasions, I was part of, like, we finally got him bombshell,
Bombshell,
nonsense.
right, another bombshell.
By the way, a month later, they're like, oh, it wasn't true. Oh, Adam Schiff leaked us this. They took the 1 on an email. They took the 1 out of a 14. So a 14 becomes a 4. So it looked like I had something 6 days before the rest of the world rather than 4 days after the entire world had it. As it relates to WikiLeaks, they're like, oh, well, we got it from a reliable source. I'm like, yeah, but that source came from like an intel committee that's supposed to be private, that's leaking you stuff and editing it, and you won't burn your source. I mean, there are things that they literally, it's just flagrantly wrong. They have not even corrected.
No, why should they?
That didn't stop them from literally, it's a bombshell. We finally got them. They did it to me on 3 different occasions. They did it to all these other guys on so many. And like I said,
well,
I mean,
Don, and then social media picks up on it, and it becomes the new truth. And,
it's as though it happened.
When you try to argue it, people go, no, here's this. And then you try to explain the ifs, ands, whats, whys, hows, whos, and they don't believe you. They just won't believe you.
Well, and that's the thing. And the media is so guilty of this because they get the tweet, that's the outrage tweet, and it goes viral. Then like 3 days later at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, they drop the correction, but they don't even take down the original.
Nope.
They just leave it there because they're like, hey, man, we're happy with the retweets and the likes. Like, God forbid, they're not making any money any other way. So, and that's the problem. They're not doing anything they're making no effort to correct it. They're like, no, we put up a retraction. I was like, the original tweet with the lie is still up. The difference is that one has 35,000 retweets. The correction has 3 because you dropped it at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. Come on.
Do you find, too, with the COVID briefings, when they're always trying to get this gotcha moment with your dad, how are you guys supposed to really get the information out when you're constantly playing defense? That's what bothers me, is everybody's asking a question that can't be answered.
Yeah.
It's hard because, I see that. And listen, he's been transparent. He's given them more time than any president in history. And, the first 10 minutes, they'll ask a couple real questions.
Yeah, I just want a real one.
He gives them the answers, and then they keep trying to goad him. You're right, the gotcha questions. We're going to get them this. And then rather than running the stuff that's actually significant to Americans, to their lives, to their businesses, they play the outrage clip that's like minute 97 of them bombarding him with BS. And finally, he's had enough. And they totally negate the first half of the thing. He storms
off the stage.
Shows a reasonable guy that's working hard, that's breaking his ass every day to try to fight for the American people. Like, let's just pretend that never happens because, look, Trump is outraged. And it's like,
and he's casually walking.
I couldn't even watch after the first hour because I'm like, hey, he's being too good to these guys that aren't going to do him any favors. It's not their job to do him favors, but it is their job to do it objectively, and they'll never do that either.
Yeah, when I saw that, I saw the headline was Trump storms from podium after tiff with the press, and I watched the video, and it's like he goes, take it easy, turns around, slowly walks away. It's like, that's storming away?
He casually
the
left.
one where it was like, he's like, well, just ask China about it because, again, they lied, they bribed the WHO, and like the lady takes off a mask and it's like, you realize that maybe she's Asian American. It's like, why did you say that to me? Like, they had to make everything racist because everything's racist.
It was like the Mission Impossible pulling the mask off. But
that's exactly it. She got exactly what she wanted. She got exactly it.
Yeah,
she got what she wanted, but like there's nothing racist about that.
No, she's wearing a mask.
Like, the fact that they're pretending it's not, and he's not saying anything about Chinese Americans or even the Chinese. He's saying something about the Chinese Communist government and their propaganda. But it was like, here's my moment. We can make something racist because that's what we do. It's the easy button of the left, and we are going to slam that button every time. And the problem is, hey, racism is a real issue. It's something that it's just not the answer to everything. You can't answer with truth or fact, but in making it such, the media does a disservice to those who are actually afflicted by this stuff. You know what I mean? Because now you hear it and you're like, roll your eyes, move
cry
on.
wolf
Like, you know,
thing. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It doesn't
Of
mean
course.
anything. So people who are actually affected get nothing. You know, get no remorse, no sympathy, no this, because it's become the answer to everything that the left doesn't have an answer to, and it's BS.
And they don't have answers to a lot of things. We're going to let you go. You're a busy guy. We really appreciate you popping on here. I just want to know how your dad feels about that horrible Biden tweet about President Tweety.
I mean, listen, it tells you.
Oh,
it tells you.
That hurt
It tells
to
you
hear.
all you need to know. I mean, this guy, imagine, I mean, he's had weeks to come up with something, and that's
President
the best he's got.
Tweety?
I mean, this is not a thinking man, folks.
That debate
Joe
would
Biden
be
may be many things, but a thinking man is not one of them.
the debate would be horrifying
Do you
to watch.
really? Okay, seriously, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you really think Joe Biden's going to show up to the debate, or you think
Absolutely
they're
not.
going to come up with some?
110%.
Yeah.
No
I
way
don't
in
think so
hell
either. I
he
think
shows
they
up.
try
for
to
a
come
debate.
up with some sort of, they'll come up with some sort of excuse to, we're not going to debate Trump. He's not legitimate.
Right.
We're not, and the media is going to take the DNC sound bites and be like,
Yes.
he's 100% right to not debate Trump because of some BS. I hope that's the nail in their
Oh,
coffin.
he's
because,
going to have an earpiece and like Judge Reinhold and vice versa while Fred
by the
Savage
way,
is feeding
we
him
should do
lines.
that. We should make sure that everyone is screened for earpieces so that he can't be feeding him.
Right,
lines.
feeding
It's a
him
little bit like
information.
Weekend at Bernie's with this guy.
They
you know?
just got to show. They got to show him like a fighter. They got to show him video of your dad just going, yeah, because you'd be in jail. Clang.
Yeah.
And just how are you going to fight? How is as President Tweety guy going to fight some of the greatest answers to debate questions I've ever heard? He laid out 17 Republican candidates like
With
nothing,
no
like
experience.
whack-a-mole.
Now he actually knows a lot more about what's going on.
Yeah,
in there. So,
yeah. That
it doesn't
too.
seem like a fair fight. So I imagine that they will try to figure out some sort of weaselly way to
Yep.
try to get out of the debates because
No way. No
again, what campaign in history is thrilled that their candidate cannot be out there stumping and they have him locked in
They're
a basement
happy
to,
that he's locked in the basement.
It's literally the first time in political history that they're thrilled. Like, this guy can't be out in front of the people. Like, people can't see him
They
for what he
can't
is.
see
They
him.
can't
He's
see
in
how
a-
incompetent. Like, and they're thrilled about it. Like, it's
Couldn't be
literally, it has
happier.
to be a first in political history because I can't imagine
Locked
it
in
ever
the
has
fruit
happened before.
cellar.
Don, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
Best
Be
to
good.
you and your family, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Nice to meet you,
Good to
Don.
see
Be
you
well,
both.
my friend.
Later.
There goes Don.
The fruit cellar being a Evil Dead 2 joke, not.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead. Because it is funny that it's like a bad movie that
Yeah.
the presidential candidate is locked in a basement.
Someone's in my fruit cellar.
The fruit cellar.
It is just very bizarre.
He's they just keep telling him there's a tornado coming. That's
Yeah.
why he stays in the a
Okay.
tornado. Get to the cellar.
Stay down there until you get your courage.
Right.
If I to get your brain.
Right.
I think that was interesting. I just wanted to talk to I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk to him on a human level because
Yeah.
regardless of how much people are going to absolutely hate me after watching this because I was polite to a
You were
human
nice.
being.
You should have called him out. It's like,
No, it's not
what?
my
He's a
job.
guest on the show.
Well, I want to treat people like they're humans, and that's why I wanted to bring up that human element of
Yeah.
how does your family feel? Because regardless of what you think, somebody's going through a lot of shit, and I think it's interesting the answers that he gave.
Yeah.
So we're really, that's what I hate is the complete dehumanization of people.
That's
now.
what it is. They're real people. The hypocrisy is ridiculous too. Like if you're gonna shit all over Don and
There's shit all over
completely
everyone, yeah.
and completely let fucking Biden's son off the hook with everything he's done without research or anything. There's so many people that just knee jerk and say, "Oh, he's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. He's this. He's that. Rich fucking yeah. He's a billionaire's son." What, like he said, he's not posing in front of refrigerators.
He's not
fucking
he's not dead on a
Blood
yacht.
Diamond Swirl ice cream.
I had to use that again.
and shit. It's not, the Trumps, even if you hate them, they seem like a real family. Like they have their problems and they have, their issues. But all families do. They're not getting locked up. They're not fucking on drugs. Then it seems like, wow, for that many people that far into the public eye and being scrutinized every step of the way, they're really not that bad. But Oh, Satan and piece of shit and this one and Jesus Christ.
And I would talk to Hunter Biden.
Of course.
And back in my day, I would have done a lot of blow with him.
Right. Which is the most important thing.
Yeah, and again, I get it. You're a billionaire's kid. I grew up around a lot of rich kids and a lot of poor kids. And look, he's not dead on a yacht. That's at least impressive.
Yeah, there you go.
And give him that. You know, because believe me, if I had the capital, I would
be dead on a yacht.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would.
Be dead.
I would imagine.
I'd be dying while
Anyway.
fucking.
We actually have to go. That was a while. Wow. Okay. Oh, I got what is that tonight? 8 chip. Ooh.
Are you a chip tonight?
I think so. Seems like I just got an invite. I'll have to attend to that after I get off the show right here. But again, thanks so much to Don Jr. there. Always nice to have him come on and talk about these things because, I mean, it is nice to have an outlet where you can chat with the son of the president of the United States on the likes of this program.
Yeah,
to get some information from the source.
I'm kind of surprised it just happened. I was banned from my 8th grade field trip to Washington, D.C. for shenanigans involving a ruler in my teacher's ass.
Right, you smacked her ample ass.
And now...
And there you go. One step away from the president right there.
Yeah, look at that.
That's one person away. He's probably going to see the president.
And I bet he's met Kevin Bacon.
Probably did, that's every Kevin Bacon thing wrapped up into one because Donald Trump has seen a lot of people.
DeGrays.
I tell you, that guy right there, Don Jr., he'll probably talk to the president. We just talked to him. Now he's probably going to talk to the president.
I like that he calls his dad by his full name.
Yeah. You know, Donald Trump, they're such Trumps.
Yeah.
They're Trumps.
I
That's
couldn't
what
get
they do.
over that. Every time he referred to him as Trump, I was like, is that weird to
I like when Donald Trump himself says
Yeah.
that. And you could be assured that Donald Trump will do it. You're like, wait, what?
He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame for a reason.
Yes.
If you don't talk in third person, you
Let
don't
me tell
get
you,
in.
brother, the
Donald,
Hulkster's going to come down. And
You're going to have to put your mask on. With
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah, I think it would be weird if he kept saying my dad, though.
is.
So, I mean,
That's
he really...
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
you
was
gotta
like trying to
pick.
think of the
But
alternative.
it's,
the alternative's
I think
weirder.
it's so cool.
If
It's like-
what if he just kept saying daddy? Well, as you know, daddy goes
Daddy told me. Don's been great, though, over the years.
He's a really
coming
nice-
on the
yeah, I
ONA
thought he was
show
a
and
very
stuff,
polite
and
guy.
He's a smart guy. He's reasonable. It's not. I love how he's portrayed as some blithering idiot. If you've heard the guy speak on this show or anywhere, like the guy obviously knows things. He's well read about what's going on in the world. You could say a bunch of things. You don't like his beard. Say that. And I'm not talking about Kimberly. I'm talking about a real beard. Like, say that. But calling him stupid it just makes you look stupid. And then I like the memes where he's in a prison uniform. Well, when your father gets when he's kicked out of the presidency, this is going to be you. It's like, what has he done that's going to send him to prison? Are you out of your mind?
I find it
People
so
just
odd.
get way off base. It's pure emotion, zero logic, and then they want to lay it out there and debate the point with you that they're right because it's, like I said, 100% emotionally driven.
I agree.
Anger.
Like, I mean, it really is, and I don't know. I think common courtesy is something that we're truly lacking as a society of just being decent, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm going to give anybody the time of day, and that's what I think is sad, is that we're not getting any information because
No.
we're so busy trying to hurt the other side or build yourself up that we don't even know what's going on in this country
don't
right
even
now,
know.
and that's what bothers me.